Good morning, everybody. First of all, I have to thank Mr. Zamir Mohammed for inviting me to be part of this prestigious panel here this morning. So I've been asked to tell my story, and I can't start without going way back to when I was born. So I was born in India, and I came to Trinidad when I was 6 years old. My mom got married to a Trinidadian gentleman called Radhe Lochan Das. Until today, I still carry his last name, even though I'm married. And so that's my stepfather, but he's the only father that I've ever known. I feel the need to say this to you all so that you can now understand me as a person and why I am who I am. Because like Wendy said, you know, I mean, we really are, we become more or less like what we've been brought up by our parents, right? So my mother is a very strong woman, very independent, very cut and dry. And as much as I grew up not wanting to become my mother, I think I have in so many ways. I think a lot of women go through that, you know. And my father, and also the reason that I'm making this point, because, you know, earlier when we spoke about the men around us, and that is so important. We talk about women empowerment and all of that, but our men play such an integral part of that. Our men who we are surrounded by. And so I will tell you, till today, I don't know what my biological father looks like. I've never met him. But at that time, in India, back in those days, for a man to take his daughter back after marriage into his home was nothing acceptable by society. But because my grandfather was a very educated man, he said, no, you're my daughter. You cannot go through these things that you're going through. As long as I'm alive, you can come back home. So first, I grew up with a man with that sort of thinking. Then I came to Trinidad, I met my stepfather. I keep looking this way, I have to look this way also. Then I met my stepfather, who, I was told that I was coming to Trinidad to meet my father. I was ecstatic because I never knew a father, you know, till the age of 6. And so I came here, I met my dad, who is my stepdad, but like I said, he's the only father that I've known. And he too, I'm so blessed with these men around me. He too was, he is, so broad-minded and not set in a very regressive way of thinking. He's very open-minded, and he never differentiated the girls from the boys, or he never held us back from anything. Whatever our desires were, whatever, like my dad always pushed us, you know, you just do you just be the best you. Until today, that is my thought process and that is my mentality with everything that I do. I just want to be the best me. I'm not in competition with anything or anybody, but I want to be the best me. And we go back to the thought process, the manifestation you spoke about. It is so true that thoughts become things. You are who you are because of how you think, and I truly believe that. And we women have to think, and we have to know that we are no lesser than any man. We are equal, if not better, because we are stronger. I think we are stronger as women than a man. You tell me, and it has nothing to do with education. Maybe I should not say that on this platform because we're here at a university. It has nothing to do with education or old or young or whatever, but you try taking away a child from its mother and see the strength of that woman, the power of that woman. I feel like we're born to be the best. There are no ifs and buts about it. So, back to the story. I told you I ramble a lot. So, then again, I was blessed with another man in my life, who's my husband, very supportive. I have to say, till today, he is my #1 supporter. Anything that I've set out to do, you know, babe, I want to do this, I'm thinking about this. He's very supportive. Couldn't have asked for better. So I felt the need to bring that point here, that the men who surround us and the men who love us, they are very important in our life. As much as you know, we think that we can do it all by ourselves, we do need that support system, and I've been lucky to have a really good support system. So having said that, came to Trinidad, grew up amongst a bunch of guys, because I had a bunch of stepbrothers, all businessmen. So I grew up seeing how their work ethic is, and I swore to myself as a child growing up, I never want to get into business, because I've seen the lifestyle. And I always felt like it's so demanding, and you hardly get time with your family and all of that. And I felt like that's something I want to keep away from. My dream, as far as I could remember, when I was a little girl, I just wanted to become a teacher, and that was it. My mother was a teacher in India, all her sisters were teachers. And I don't know, I just felt like I just want to be a teacher. I never thought I would get into business, #1. I never thought I'd become a fashion designer, #2. I never thought I'd become a restaurateur, #3. But what I did know from a very early age is that I had a very strong desire for success. All I knew is that I wanted to be successful when I grew up. I didn't know how. I didn't know where. I didn't know if it was going to be here or if I was going to go back to India or whatever. But that desire was always there. And I mean, I had challenges in every aspect that you could think about of your life, but I think what helped me is, again, just believing in myself, probably turning any negative situation into something positive. And I've always, I've always taken every situation in my life and sort of spinned it around, because I felt like there was no other way to succeed. Again, because I wanted to, you know, be successful. There was no other way to succeed. There's no way that I could, you know, just say no and things won't work out. I just had to go at it and you know, just be strong. And that's exactly what I did. I only went to London College of Fashion to study at the age of 30. I was 29, going on 30. I celebrated my 30th birthday. At that time, I already had my business, which happened by default also. Like I said, I never wanted to get into business. I had gone to India to study after my A-levels, and my aunt there has a fashion boutique and a production unit, more or less similar to what I have. And back in those days, that was around 2000, that is where I was introduced to fashion design. I really never thought of making that a career. I didn't think that it was a possibility, you know, back in those days. But I spent some time with my aunt, and I really enjoyed what she did. And I went back after like I said, after A-levels, I went back to study, and my parents sent me to India to study pharmacology. And I ended up doing fashion design. Because, again, my aunt was the influence there. I worked with her in her boutique for a few days, or for a few weeks. I can't even remember. It was so long ago. And she said, you know, you sketch really well, and you mix colors really well, and you mix fabrics really well. Why don't you do this course? I said, really? That's a thing? You know? And she's like, yes, so many. And I did my research, and it was being a fashion designer was a lucrative business in India back then. Maybe not here, or maybe, I guess it was for mailing and all of them, yes. But I don't know, I just never explored that avenue. And then, like I said, through my aunt, I realized that, you know, I do like this, you know. They always say, do what you love and love what you do. And that is what happened. I was introduced to that in India. I loved it, and I guess there was no turning back. However, when I came back to Trinidad, I did not have the full knowledge, nor the finances, or whatever, to set up my own business. So I started working at Princestown Regional Corporation as a Cadex clerk, yes. I see somebody from Princestown, I know. So, yes, I worked there for a couple months, but when I came back from India, I came back with a lot of fabrics, a lot of Indian wear, Indian jewelry, and while I was in India, I learned how to do threading and henna and makeup and all that stuff, the frou-frou. And I said to somebody who I was working with, I said, you know, I have all these garments, these saris and whatever that I got from India. Would you be interested in having a look? Because I wanted to sell them. Little did I know I was getting into business by doing that, you know. And she said, hey, there's this thing called Diwali Nagar here every year. Why don't you try that? And I think that was my first step, like into business itself. And without knowing where it would take me, I got their number, I called them up, I took a booth, I lied to my parents, and I said it was half the amount of what it actually cost me, because I was taking all my salary and paying for that. And my dad was like, well, try it in a bit. You might make back a few $100s. So I did exactly that. I tried it. And in 9 nights, I sold $32,000, which was months, more than 6 months of my salary at Princestown Regional Corporation. So I said to myself, no, one thing, I've always been goal-driven. I've always been very strong-headed. If I want something, I'm going to get that. Nobody's going to tell me no. I am going to get it. And if you tell me no, I'm going to show you that I'm going to do it. So this happened, and I said, nah, man, I can't be wasting my life like this. I need to get into business. I said, you know, even though I grew up thinking, this is not at all what I want to do, but it's very lucrative. It is successful. So again, I reinvested that money. I went back to India, brought in a bigger shipment, and the next day again took a bigger booth at Diwali Nagar, and I sold a little bit more than twice the amount that I did in the first year. I put that money and I took a loan for $100,000. And I opened my first store. And the rest is history. I mean, I just kept going. I worked really hard. The first time I traveled to Miami, I went with $2,000 to shop, $2,000 US to shop. I mean, now I do container loads because I have 3 retail stores throughout Trinidad. And So that business was successful. That was doing well. But I found myself in the position that I was getting bored. Yes, the money was good. I felt successful. I saw myself as successful. But I felt like something was missing. Something was missing. I feel like I had to do more with my life. And I reached a point where I said I could no longer buy something for $1 and sell it for $2. I needed to do something more with my time, with me, with my life. And I've always wanted to do fashion. And I called up UTT one day to inquire about their fashion design course. And I think I was a couple weeks too late with registration. They said registration is over this year, so you can try again next year. But by that time, I was already 29, going to hit 30. I didn't want to waste another year and just wait around. And again, like I said, very driven. So if I make up my mind, I'm going to do it. So I sent in an application to London College of Fashion. My dad, though, at that time, could not understand. You have your own house, you have your car, you have your business, you're doing well. You're going to leave all of this to go to London to study fashion. That is where he had a little issue. He said, it's not like law or engineering or medicine, fashion, like fashion design, like, is that even a lucrative business? So I told my mom, I said, look, this is my desire. I said, if I am accepted, I am gone. No ifs and buts about it. Luckily, I was accepted and made my preparation to go to London to study fashion design. I was so happy, so excited. And I got there. I got there and I realized very soon that, oh my God, it did not hit me really that I was leaving my life, everything, and kind of like starting over from scratch, because then I had to be around 20-year-old students. I was hitting 30 and everybody else around me was like 19, 20, 21 max. And I was living with a bunch of young people and having to work, because that was that was my little agreement with my parents, that, you know, I couldn't just take everything that I worked so hard for and just go there and splurge and whatever. So I had to work and support myself. My tuition was paid from my business here. Even though it was my business, I mean, my parents still had that influence. And I had to work to support myself, and boy, it was not tough. And I'm sure a lot of you inside here have probably gone through that, working and studying. It's not easy. And this was full-time studying, and then sort of like full-time working. So now I was in London doing what my staff does in my stores, you know? But because I had so much knowledge in it, and so much experience in it, I knew how to be a good employee, because I knew what my employer would be looking for. And that was it. Then, unfortunately, after my first semester in my second year, I came back to Trinidad because I had some issues, personal issues that I had to take care of. And God just had it in this way that I was unable to go back to London then and complete my degree. So basically, I completed a year and 1 semester, whereas I should have done 2 years. It was a foundation degree. And so I was a little bit disheartened that, you know, I'm not able to finish this, and what's going to happen now? It was really my passion and whatever. So my dad said, well, you didn't gain enough knowledge in that time that you were there. I said, yeah, I know exactly what to do, but I don't know how to start. Like, I don't know what, where. Because I didn't study here. So I wasn't affiliated with any other fashion designer who could probably give me some sort of advice, or anybody who was in the industry in one way or another. Like, I knew nobody. So, of course, there were people along the way that I thought would help, and I reached out to them, and they never did. And sometimes I say, women, we are our worst enemies. And that we need to stop doing that. We need to really support each other, because we post on social media saying that women who support women and whatever, and we don't do anything like that, you know? So anyway, I did my little research by macroing on Facebook, everybody that I could. I found a photographer. I started my line. I had one of my colleagues from London College of Fashion. He came down and helped me with my first collection to launch. And because I just felt like I needed that support, you know, somebody who knew about this. And I did my collection. I did my photo shoot. And I set out to launch my collection. My label was launched on the 27th of November of 2013. And needless to say, it was a hit. It was a success. I never expected that overnight people would know about CLD. I really never expected. But it happened. It happened. And I started getting phone calls. I started getting people coming down to Princestown, because that is where everything was being done at that time. Within 4 months of the launch of the label, I was able to open my first boutique. Well, the CLD boutique, that's in Woodbrook. Just in case you guys want to come and check it out, it's 55 Gala Street, Woodbrook. And yes, we do custom made also. So yeah, the April of the next year, which was 2014, was when I launched. And again, I think maybe it might have been my experience with retail for years, like over than 10 years experience with retail and understanding women and what they wanted in fashion and whatever, that I think the brand was successful. Because one thing I was very clear-cut about is that I wanted to create a lucrative business out of it, and I didn't want to just you know, send some creativity down the runway and be applauded for it, because I think Trinidadians are they're oblivious to the fact that the fashion industry is really one of the largest industries in the world, you know. Yes, yes, and we have, I always say Trinidadians, we as Trinidadians, we don't lack talent at all. But you can't just have talent, you have to have that mindset, that little business attribute to go with it to make it successful. And so I think I brought a little balance to the table there, and well, the rest is history. A few years later, I decided I want to get into the food business. And this was, I want to say, about three or 4 years ago. I've been thinking about it. And again, thoughts become things. The more you focus on something and positively focus on something, believe you me, the universe really brings it to you. And I was playing with this idea for so long. And where Bungalow is, Bungalow Restaurant and Lounge, that space was, I want to say, vacant for about 1.5 to 2 years or something like that. And every time I drove by, I would always say, and I'd say to my husband, oh my God, that corner spot, I really like it. Like, I think you can do something really grand there. And that's it. It was just a thought. I really didn't think that is where I would end up opening this business. It just happened. One day we decided to call there because I feel like my present boutique where we are at CLD, because of production and everything, it's just growing. I needed a bigger space. So we called there to find out for that spot for CLD, to actually move CLD across to there. And when I called to find out about it, they said, well, you know, this was a restaurant and we have a full kitchen here. and you know, we're going to sell the equipment and whatever. So I said to myself, I said, oh my God, for years I've been thinking about this. I've been passing here, seeing this spot, and it literally fell into my lap. And it was an offer that I couldn't refuse, because if it's something that I had to wait 5 or 10 years later down, I don't know if it would have been possible. So the opportunity came and the time was right, and I just grasped at the opportunity. They say opportunity doesn't knock twice, and for me, I think that's the kind of person that I am. Once opportunity knocks, I grab it. And that's what happened with that, with Bungalow. And yeah, that's it. I think I kind of covered everything that I've done in a nutshell in 30 minutes. Yeah. Thank you all for listening to